We're trying something new today. I'm throwing you right smack dab in the middle of a draft. Not only did I start off with the first guy auto-picking Zach Charbonnet, giving me Jamar Chase at pick 2, we then get Chase Brown for a nice little Bengals, floor and ceiling play, I'd say. I mean, this is certainly something I prefer to do in a contest like the Eliminator. You basically get fully into the Cincinnati Bengals offense without too much of an issue. All right, and here at pick 47, we're likely going to pass. We'll go JMO. I like the Detroit offense. I do like Worthy. I don't want to stack too heavy into week 10. It shouldn't be much of an issue for us, but it is something to consider. Now that we have JMO, we can certainly go Worthy after. You have seen me reach on Flowers or Waddle here before. I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to let the later Baltimore values come to us. And yeah, I love Worthy. Now that we have a guarantee on a wide receiver that I liked at 8, we'll buy week 8 with JMO. I'm happy to take Worthy here, especially now that the NFL is trying to push to get Rashee Rice suspended for an even larger number of games than we initially suspected. I really, really liked Xavier Worthy this year. So we can review all of this, though. Lamar can certainly be played as quarterback naked. I don't love that, but it's honestly something that I don't do often enough, so we can definitely do it here, especially after we went pretty Cincinnati heavy. This will be a lineup while I'm Cincinnati heavy. I'm not going to try to overly game stack. I think we can still take some value, get some high ceiling, high volume players, 2 of those being Jameson Williams and Xavier Worthy. But to run through the picks that you didn't see, got Jamar Chase at 2, took Chase Brown with our second pick. Again, doing that, taking a star wide receiver and a star running back within the same team. It's not like a massive ceiling play, but given that this is a Bengals offense that should be very efficient, we'll have a bad defense, we'll have to score a lot, it's a play that I like. It basically raises our weekly floor of the Bengals offense so that we have, whether Chase Brown, really pops off and Jamar Chase has a, lesser 10-point game, whatever happens, as long as it isn't a T. Higgins 50 burger, we have a good chance of hitting on the Bengals offense, which I do suspect, apart from Joe Burrow injury, is going to be a lot of value for us. So doing something like that gives us a better chance of actually getting to this 3-week playoff. We then take Lamar. After getting Jamar Chase, I love, love, love taking Lamar, especially in this sprint format. You get that one game with him, 15, and then he has the Patriots and the Packers, 16 and 17, both teams that are very easy to get into late, and Lamar as a quarterback is one that I especially like. He had a snub MVP season last year. That's what people want you to see, want you to say. To be honest, I think Josh Allen deserved it. If you haven't seen the clip, go look up Dan Orlovsky explaining why Josh Allen deserved MVP. A lot of stats that you aren't going to get just by looking at, passing volume, passing totals, rushing totals, all that stuff. Lamar had an amazing season last year. I'm hoping he can do it again. I also think there's a slight bit, there's like a 1% chance, a slight bit of value if the statue, the everlasting era of Derrick Henry never being injured finally comes to an end this year after him being a mainstay at the running back position. He's only getting older. He's only seen insane volume. If that were to happen, I think it's massive for Lamar's passing volume in general, so I love taking him. And as we just saw, went JMO and Worthy. JMO does not game stack into much for us. Maybe some Miami stuff later, but nothing too important in Xavier Worthy. Similarly, no game stacks at all for him right now, but I do think they're both valuable mid-range wide receivers, ones that can pop off in any given week, and are both in great offenses, which is kind of what I want to play into here. We're now nearing pick 71. We definitely love Golden. Admittedly, earlier in this offseason, Golden was not someone that I overly appreciated, but given that there are being, more and more injuries to Green Bay, I still prefer Jaden Reed given his ADP, but given that I'd also have to take Jaden Reed about 10 spots above his current ADP, I'm just going to take Golden here. Hopefully, well, apparently I won't be taking Golden. Diggs is a fine follow-up, though. He was going to be the second pick. Diggs, any injury concerns should likely be thrown out of the window. Shouldn't be too concerning on his end. He's had plenty of time to recover. Early season injury, should be back well. Is one of the really only targets I truly trust in this Patriot offense, which we do assume will see, a massive jump this year. Not only are you getting a second year, I'll continue this thought after we take Pacheco or Monty. What do we think is better for us? We'll go Monty just for the bye week reasons. I think they're both similar tiers for me, Pacheco and Monty. They're both somewhat pretty TD reliant. Again, both good offenses that should be in the red zone a lot. Admittedly, KC does like to throw the ball a lot more in the red zone than Detroit does. Detroit, don't worry too much about the loss of Ben Johnson. They still have a lot of weapons, still have a lot of talent. This offense should still be humming even without them. But back to the point we are making before about Diggs, not only are you going to see an improvement this year with Drake May, Josh McDaniels tends to like to throw the ball. Like if he has a quarterback that he trusts, if this is a decently good offense, we should see top 10 in passing attempts this year, as long as McDaniels, isn't getting too reined in by Mike Vrabel, which I don't suspect. Either way, McDaniel's going to throw the ball a lot. That increased volume will be good both for May and Diggs. I think Diggs should be targeted pretty heavily, and given his ADP of around 74, I think there's a lot of value for him to kind of truly be in like the 50 range. Given that volume, given an increase in efficiency in this Patriots offense, I think there's a lot of ceiling there with Diggs. Andrew's an easy first pick. Honestly, we're going to have a little bit of a conversation over who the second pick is. Um, Going to use up this time to mull it over a bit, and we'll just auto pick Andrews, which I am more than fine with. We may even just take Drake May, close out at quarterback. May, 7 spots after ADP at our next one, probably won't be there given the number of players that have not taken quarterbacks yet. I don't know if that's a risk I want to take. B-Rob is interesting depending on where he ends up. I don't think we want to go Godwin. Don't have any Miami for that 17, and the other matchups don't line up too well for us. JCM at 97. People are really pushing that up. We'll try and roll the dice here at quarterback. I think Josh Downs, while he did just exit practice early, I'm not gonna get too concerned over that yet. Early reports aren't really out there. The benefit of Josh Downs is given the ceiling that we've taken with JMO and Worthy, we get another solid week-to-week player that's going to give us a higher floor. That weekly floor to Downs will be especially valuable with Daniel Jones throwing them the ball. I think Daniel Jones will probably pepper him a lot. We saw how much he peppered Wan'Dale Robinson last year for the Giants. Admittedly, the Giants are going to, threw the ball last year more than I expect the Colts to this year. Regardless of that, I think Downs will be a favorite target of Jones. I think overall, the Colts pass catchers are in a better position with Jones throwing the ball. Maybe the offense is better with Anthony Richardson, given the duality that he presents to many defenses around the league. Regardless, I like Downs. I think if he does get peppered as much as Wan'Dale Robinson did last year, there's a ton of opportunity because I do believe Josh Downs is a better player than Wan'Dale Robinson. But regardless, even if he doesn't hit on that ceiling, he can give us a high weekly floor at a wide receiver room, which we do admittedly need a little bit of right now. Certainly need to find our quarterback too at some point. Not too much of a necessity. We certainly have a couple of options that we can work into. If we can get May at the next pick, that would be fantastic. It felt a little bad to be drafting him that high above ADP there, and I'm fine to get our fifth wide receiver. Usually 5 receivers by rounds, 8, 9, 10 is the right move. Okay, we did miss out on Drake May. I don't feel an abundance of need to take McCarthy or Love here. I think I am just going to take a depth piece and Ramondre Stevenson. I've said it a lot of times before. I think Ramondre's going to have higher volume than people expect him to. Can probably go Mims at the next pick, although that is more of a BBM-centered approach, focusing on 17 with that Worthy matchup. So I am going to mull this over a little bit as this person takes their 2 picks. The other reason at quarterback, I do think I'd rather just take Tua at 145 than Love or McCarthy here. We're going to go Javonte Williams. The main indicator here for me is Javonte Williams is probably going to be the lead back. That's what it comes down to for me. Cam Scatterboo is hurt. I don't think he's going to be the lead back. He's almost assuredly in a timeshare, barring no injury. Tank Bigsby, almost assuredly in a timeshare. I don't really think he's the favorite by anyone's metrics to really win out the job, despite how good he played last year. Tootin, again, I don't believe he's the incumbent. I think he's a successor a year or two from now. Braylon Allen is going to see some work, but Javonte is the only back in this range that has the highest likelihood of being the RB1. Remains to be seen how much work players like Miles Sanders or Jadon Blue are going to get. But Javonte is a pretty well-rounded back, especially if he gets back to his previous form, another year removed from his pretty significant ACL injury a couple years back. All right, with this guy having no quarterback behind me, I've been here before, and sometimes your quarterback just gets sniped. I'd rather have Tua than Penix or Young. I do think Tua will likely be throwing the ball a lot more, and we have at least one matchup with him. With Penix, we don't really have anything. I'm happy to take Tua. We probably don't need a 3, given the investment into Lamar Jackson. If he sees any sort of decline, doesn't catch that ADP value, this team is kind of fighting an uphill battle that I don't think a third quarterback perfectly resolves. Granted, if you do want to increase your advance rate, you do get there. And we see this guy take 2 quarterbacks, so I'm happy I took Tua by taking a third quarterback. I do like Pop Douglas a fair bit. I like him more than Kyle Williams, to be quite honest. Hollywood Brown, certainly good as well. We'll just take Pop, though. We want to play a little bit more into Lamar. I don't know why Hollywood Brown is still here, but I'm not gonna ask any questions. And then hopefully, given this guy has 6 running backs, we can get Rashad White to the next pick, another player I really like, and another great ADP value. Damn shame, damn shame. Can probably take Jalen Wright. I don't love it, but it's not the worst pick. Yeah, we'll just take Jalen Wright. Otten right before us is certainly tough. I think I'm just going to buy into the Gesicki injury. I'll let whether we get Hopkins or not be dependent on this guy. I don't really think I want to go, especially given the ADP investment into wide receiver, I don't think I want to go 8 wide receiver here. But I will if Hopkins is there at this next pick. I think we probably take Ollie Gordon off. I'd rather take Justice Hill as the final running back with our last pick. And then maybe we can go Mason Taylor here. Yeah. We'll go Mason Taylor as a third tight end. 2 versus 3 tight end isn't, there's not a significant difference optimization-wise in terms of total points. Mason Taylor going, though, is certainly a big fuck you to my plans. I guess I'll just take Jadavian Sanders. I don't like this pick, to be quite honest. I didn't think he was going to take Mason Taylor. Admittedly, maybe not even the best pick, but I feel fine finishing with 6 running backs, the 6th running back being Justice Hill. I think I really like the 7 wide receivers we have. I don't think we need to, overinvest by taking an 8th, especially given that it would have been like Michael Wilson. Like, who gives a damn about Michael Wilson in this lineup particularly? Might as well take another body to hopefully give us a backup if Gesicki is out longer, and Gesicki can just be the ceiling piece over the final 3 weeks. So we have a little bit of volume back up there out of Jadavian Sanders, especially given that Andrews, was up and down last year. In the down weeks, we will need some more volume behind him. If he's certainly up and up, and it won't really matter, but who cares? This is a little bit of a, advance rate play as opposed to ceiling plays that we've taken earlier with players like Worthy, JMO, Andrews, Hollywood, Diggs, even a double in this England offense. Running back room, I could get how you'd be a little concerned. I like Javonte Williams a fair bit. Jalen Wright's kind of just an upside handcuff play. I think Justice Hill will be the exact floor that we need, especially playing into Lamar. He's a receiving back in this offense. He'll have a little bit of ceiling. I mean, we really only saw it week 1 exceptionally well against the Chiefs last year when he caught a bunch of balls. In half-point PPR, you don't need to overrate those kind of short receptions for a player like Justice Hill, but they do add up, and a reception is worth more than a handoff in any format, even in non-PPR, and we have half PPR here. And that's Justice Hill. Until tomorrow, I'll be back with another draft. Till then, be well, stay safe, draft fantastically well. See you tomorrow. Peace!